Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today. We are going to be unpacking some truly fascinating research from the GitHub Next team, specifically looking at the real-world impact of AI coding assistants like GitHub Copilot. And look, I want to give you the bottom line right up front here. AI code tools aren't just some neat little speed hack or a basic utility add-on. As you'll see in the data we're going through today, they are actually massive strategic investments in your team's retention, their output, and their overall well-being.
So let's dive right in by asking a pretty foundational question. What does it actually mean to be a productive developer? Traditionally, as executives and leaders, it's really tempting to view developer productivity like a factory assembly line. We ask things like, how many lines of code were output today? Or how many commits were pushed? But honestly, that traditional view is deeply flawed when we're talking about modern software engineering.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to hit 5 key areas. First, redefining developer productivity. Second, measuring with the SPACE framework. Third, preserving mental energy. Fourth, the 55% speed increase. And finally, making a strategic cultural investment.
All right, section 1, redefining developer productivity. We really have to fix how we measure success.
There's just this stark contrast between the old way of thinking and reality. On one side, we've got traditional metrics, the classic outputs over inputs. But both academic research and massive developer surveys show this completely fails to capture the intense problem-solving and creativity that software development actually requires. Then, on the other side, we have modern developer productivity. A genuinely productive day is actually defined by staying focused, making meaningful progress, and crucially, feeling good at the end of the day. It's pretty simple. Satisfied developers just flat out perform better. Moving on to section 2, measuring with the SPACE framework. This is all about evaluating holistically. Okay, so what is SPACE? It's this brilliant multidimensional framework that captures the true developer experience. It stands for satisfaction and well-being, performance, activity, communication and collaboration, and efficiency and flow. This acronym gives you, as a leader, a highly tangible, holistic mental model for evaluating your engineering teams, rather than just staring at a dashboard of isolated Jira tickets. For the research we are analyzing today, which surveyed over 2,000 developers using GitHub Copilot, we're zeroing in on 2 core dimensions of SPACE: satisfaction and well-being, and efficiency and flow. These 2 specific areas are heavily, profoundly impacted by AI, yet ironically, they're the ones most frequently overlooked in traditional executive reporting. Section 3, preserving mental energy. Let's look at the qualitative data. Just look at that number, 87%. 87% of developers reported that GitHub Copilot helped them preserve their mental effort during repetitive tasks. Now, I want you to think about this like a personal assistant for a busy executive. Just as a phenomenal assistant clears away all your routine administrative tasks so you can actually focus on high-level strategy, AI clears away the routine boilerplate code for your engineers. By reducing those repetitive tasks, it directly and dramatically lowers developer mental fatigue. And right alongside that, 73% of developers report they are now able to stay in the flow. As literally any engineering manager will tell you, context switching and constant interruptions are the ultimate productivity killers. They totally drain your energy. By keeping developers locked into that flow state, AI is acting as a shield against that incredibly costly cognitive drain. This brilliantly illustrates the emotional return on investment we're seeing. Between 60 and 75% of users reported feeling more fulfilled, feeling less frustrated, and being able to focus on satisfying work. So the bottom line here, less frustration means a significantly lower risk of developer burnout. You are actively allowing your engineers to focus on the fulfilling, creative work that actually drives your product forward. To really put a human face to these numbers, check out this quote from a senior software engineer in the study. They said, "With Copilot, I have to think less, and when I have to think, it's the fun stuff. It sets off a little spark that makes coding more fun and more efficient." I love that. That fun stuff is the complex problem solving. AI is shouldering the boring work to free up cognitive load for what matters.
Section 4, the 55% speed increase. Time to shift gears to the hard, quantitative output. To measure actual speed, GitHub Next didn't just ask developers how fast they felt, they ran a highly controlled experiment. They took 95 professional developers, tasked them with writing an HTTP server in JavaScript, which is a very standard real-world task, and randomly split them right down the middle into 2 groups. One group used Copilot, the other didn't. Everything else was strictly controlled. First up, let's look at task completion rates. The group using AI had a 78% success rate, compared to just 70% for the group without AI. So right out of the gate, the AI-assisted group wasn't just working faster, they actually had a measurably higher rate of successfully completing this complex task correctly.
But wow, the real story is the time comparison. Developers working without GitHub Copilot took, on average, 2 hours and 41 minutes to finish the server. The developers with GitHub Copilot, they took just 1 hour and 11 minutes. That is a stark, undeniable contrast in completion times for the exact same rigorous task.
Which gives us our massive headline metric, 55%. The developers using AI finished the exact same task a staggering 55% faster. Just imagine increasing your engineering velocity by over half, while simultaneously reducing the mental fatigue of your team. That is the true dual power of this technology.
And finally, Section 5, a strategic cultural investment. Let's look at the macro-level business strategy. The research found that forward-thinking executives are totally shifting their perspective here. Engineering leaders are now viewing AI tools through the lens of holistic developer well-being. Their goal? Keep engineers healthy, productive, and genuinely delighted. It's a way for leadership to directly support AI adoption, specifically to boost long-term engineering retention. Just listen to this quote from a CTO of a large engineering org who participated in the research. They said, "The engineer's satisfaction with doing edgy things and us giving them edgy tools is a factor for me. Copilot makes things more exciting." And they hit the nail on the head. Top-tier technical talent wants to work with top-tier tools. Providing AI is rapidly becoming a crucial competitive advantage for company culture and hiring. So, the crucial takeaway for us today is this. AI isn't just a speed hack. It is a holistic investment in your engineering culture that actively reduces cognitive load and massively boosts output. It beautifully bridges the gap between human well-being, like we measure with the SPACE framework, and the hard ROI data of a 55% speed increase. I want to leave you with a final thought to reflect on as you evaluate your own organizations. Are you treating AI as a mere utility or as a strategic investment to retain your absolute best engineering talent? The data is crystal clear on this. The companies that view this holistically are the ones who are going to build faster and keep their best people while doing it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this gives you a fresh perspective on productivity in the age of AI.